in this particular image, this is what's called a real finished product. So it's not just the aerial imagery, it's got the compasses, it's got the branding of the clients, it's got the property address. So those are all finishing touches, and I'll talk about that later in the presentation, what that means to you as you start to use this technology.
I should add that this is a very difficult shoot. Number one, in the sense is that all of the trees are overgrown, so you can't really see the front of the building. It doesn't really show well. Number two, there's a damaged roof in the center of it, which is intentionally, you don't notice that it was taken out, but it's taken out. Right? So
well, it's not damaged anymore.
Right, but I mean, it had flood damage on the front of it, and anybody seeing it would automatically say, hey, what's wrong with the roof? Right, so we needed to go ahead and not show it. Not that we're trying to be deceptive or anything, but that whatever the client kind of requests, that's how we go ahead and we shoot the video. And this video was to be able to show a full perimeter and the full breadth of this. Normally, like if we're doing a residential, we can just do flybys, back and front and back, and a couple aerial compass points, and then merge them all together and give you a great video.
Here's a typical residential. You don't have. Is it hard to see?
Yeah.
So here's this is what a builder in Kildare requested, was still shot and flyover.
Get a little close to this rooftop.
It is an element.
I got a little nauseous.
What we're seeing right now typically is the higher end properties. It's not really, it's becoming more, it's being embraced faster for properties over a certain amount. As far as builder. Yeah, he is a builder, actually. So, that's an example of commercial. We also do, and any company that provides this as a service typically has a couple different niches, let's say, that they get into. Ours is we've got different data collections that we do, but primarily it's real estate construction and projects. So this will be standard practice, and they're estimating within the next 3 years. Did a ton of research on real estate. Out east, it's very, very big. So out east, and then Arizona is the second biggest market for this technology. 10 to 15% collectively, with the big markets that are embracing are using it. Now it's estimated that it'll grow exponentially. After August 29th of this year, everything changed. I've been on the National Association for Realtors website every single day, and there has been no updated commercial use information being shared there. So all the information that I'm providing you in this presentation is strictly from the FAA to commercial end users. Commercial end users being people like us that would do shoots or help you train a pilot for your own facility. That happened on August 29th. It was a game changer. What it did is it flooded the market, or is anticipating flooding the market with a lot of people that call themselves drone commercial pilots, aerial imagery. And that lends itself to a lot of liability and issues if they don't go through the proper guidelines and get the licensing that's required by the FAA. And the FAA is not messing around. They are going to take prisoners every shot they get because they're fighting desperately to maintain control of airspace, some of which we agree with, and some of which is a little over the top. But as far as your world as a realtor, what I could get as far as research and the study groups that we did with realtors across the country, the people that are tracking it. Another company did a study, VHT. They're looking at increasing the buy time by 32% on real estate listings that include aerial imagery versus those that don't. Can I tell you that I have clients that can confirm that? Absolutely not. I had to go with what people who are using this technology on a regular basis were saying. The advantages of it is it's a huge wow factor. not only with a listing that for a click value of increasing the likelihood of an open, but even a wow factor for closing a listing. I mean, if you've got, there's a client we're working with now that has been leveraging themselves against a pretty big brokerage house here in Chicago. The brokerage house has thrown around their weight, and this is a littler group. There's nothing more impressive than to show up to a meeting with the board of directors and show them that you've already taken the initiative, you've already got the aerial sheet completed. So it's got a lot of bling to it, which helps in several elements of what we feel would help a realtor or broker along. It allows you to do comprehensive overviews of properties and all the acreage. So if you've got something in, let's say, Hebron or a horse farm in Bull Valley and the client is in Skokie, you know, that structure may look good from the ground, but when you start walking the property, there's some nightmares or even positives that you didn't capture otherwise. So it gives you an ability to qualify a client and have a client qualify a property beforehand. It also increases shareability by 4,000%. There's a company, I'm meeting with them again today, Influx Consulting, and they did a study on social media, and they found that by including live video, their open rate on that particular post increased by 4,000%. I said, when I learned that last week, I was like, are you sure? He said, we've got the data to support that, so I need to steal that right away. So I shared that with you because I didn't do that study, but I thought that was pretty impressive. And like he said, when you're on Facebook or you're looking through your social media sites, just think about what you go ahead and click on. And I thought, you know what, he's right, I do that. The ability to shoot a community overview, I closed out that one presentation that I just showed you a little early, but you can get an aerial view of a whole community. So you can see what the neighbor's backyard looks like. You can do that, 100 foot over the structure look. And you can also scope out the amenities in that community using drone technology. And then structural highlights. If you had that new shaker roof on, which, it can get you a boo, but let's say you did, and you want to feature that it was, in brand new pristine condition, there you go. There's a recommended amount of type of hardware and software for these types of shoots. Rob's going to go into that with the equipment for you. So just any old drone with any piece of camera is not what you really want to be looking for when you're looking to engage with a service provider. You want minimums, and the minimums are going to get you the maximums with the product that you're going to end up using in the market. So let's talk a little bit about, well, before I go on any more about me. So has anybody in here used this type of technology at all? You have? And it's local? Mm-hmm. And your thoughts, feelings?
It's amazing.
You liked it?
Yeah, my clients love it.
They do. And what type of property was it?
All kinds, lake, river, land.
Okay.
Residential.
Okay.
On a golf course.
Yes, yes.
All kinds.
That kind of, it does have a wow factor,
Yeah,
but it really
love
gives
it.
you an overview that you wouldn't normally be able to get. So let's go back. I really want to drive home, whether it's me you call in the future, or it's another service provider that you're looking at, you've got to make sure you do your homework. And to do your homework, I think it's important to know, just briefly, there's so much. We brought some handouts for you, and I can email you as much information as you want. But the FAA Part 107 regulation made it very clear and concise of what an airman or pilot needed to obtain to go ahead and fly a drone for commercial purposes. Commercial purposes is non-for-profit and or for money, or let's say, for instance, for zero money, as an employer of Heartland, you hired a pilot, he better have a Part 107 airman certificate. For every time that there's a flight, and trust me, they know how to track this stuff. There's a guy in Minnesota that was tracked through the internet, and for every incident that he was nailed with as far as posting commercial video, he was nailed for $11,000. They found 5 of them. They asked no questions. They wrote him a citation for $55,000, and now he's fighting, cease and desist and all that nightmare to get all up and running and get legal. So there's a lot of people that are rushing in, But there's a lot of things you need to know to make sure your I's are crossed and your I's are dotted and your T's are crossed. So $11,000 won't be your responsibility, but it'll definitely shut down any momentum that you would have with a service provider, and you really wouldn't want any incidents on a property with someone who wasn't a licensed pilot anyway. It's not good press for you, it's not good business. So make sure they've got that. I'm gonna show you what that looks like in a minute. Any aircraft that is flown needs to be, regardless of what the terms are, needs to be registered with the FAA. If there's an incident, and if authorities are called, and they pick up that drone, and they call the FAA on the spot, which they can have access to it immediately, that would be law enforcement or anybody else for that matter, they can go and see if that serial number's been registered. If it has not, it's an immediate report and an immediate $27,500 fine. So again,
Can I clarify that too? So if any of your kids are flying drones outside, they have to be registered. It only takes $5, okay? But that fine's gonna come back down to you at $27,500, right? So if it's outdoors, and that's included not quadcopters, if they're flying planes, that's still considered a drone. It's an unmanned aircraft. So, I just spoke at the Civil Air Patrol yesterday, 4 guys in a room flying RCs, didn't know that. So I just saved their parents $27,500, because they are gonna go ahead and pick somebody. My guess is they'll go ahead and pick out somebody who's flying a quadcopter that's not registered to go ahead and make that a public display, but it's just out there.
So you get fined hobby, commercial, anything, you'll get fined
Yes.
if it's not registered,
Yes.
is what you're saying?
Yes, because they now own, since August 29th, they own all of the airspace is national airspace. So outside your door, unlike, you own the stuff below it, you don't own any of that air